Hello, everyone. It's lovely to be here again. Sadly, Davina can't be with us today, but she's here in spirit. So today's podcast is on courageous visibility. So, yeah, what does that even mean? So just to kind of give a kind of flavour of where we're going to allow this to kind of organically unfold, because our purpose really is the more we share is to help people to see more of themselves, to gain their own self-awareness so that they can thrive and be empowered in their own lives. So first of all, visibility. So when we kind of sit with visibility, it's really about being seen and being heard. And, you know, when I sat to this in my own life, this can be healthy or it can be unhealthy. We can maybe try and get visibility for attention, and it comes from more a kind of a wounding place or a deficit, or it can come from a kind of whole place when we really share everything. You know, we really live our lives with full expression of who we are. And the courageous bit is how we move through maybe the fears and the blocks that kind of stop us being in full of expression of ourselves. So this is where we're going to kind of allow it to kind of unfold and just share what comes in each three of us. So welcome. But before we really dive in and get started, we always invite a little bit of a moment just to kind of self-connect from the busyness of life. So we're just going to invite a little bit of grounding. I'm just going to check in. Does anybody would like to do the grounding, or do you want me to move forward?
Can I do something that I saw a bit different?
Yeah.
I just remembered it, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's not mine. It's not mine, by the way. It's Mel Robbins. You know Mel Robbins? Yeah.
Yeah.
So she has something that I really enjoy about settling your body. So can we try that?
Yeah, please do.
Love
okay. So we don't need to close our eyes. You can, of course, if you want to, but you don't need to. And if you don't have a pen, grab one. If you can't grab a pen, just think about it. But let's start by taking a deep breath so we are present in the moment. Breathe in. And breathe out. So now let's put our hands in our hearts the way that you want. If you can, of course. If you are in a place that you can't do it, don't worry. And just say to yourself, and you can say it out loud. You can repeat after me, or you can just say it for yourself. I am okay.
I am okay.
I am safe.
I am safe.
I am loved.
I am loved.
So now, if you have your eyes open, it could help as well. Just think about, and if you want, you can write it as well, one thing that you can see. And you can write it, or you can just take a note on your mind. One thing that you can see. Now, one thing that you can hear. What can you hear around you? And again, take notes if you want, or just in your mind. One thing that you can touch, and touch it. One thing that you can smell. What can you smell? Now, write or take note on your mind. In one word, at this moment, I feel, and write or note on your mind how you are feeling. Finally, I deserve a high five today because, and complete this sentence. I deserve a high five today because, and you can write it down again or take notes in your mind as well. Anyone want to share? Kelly, do you want to share anything? Or Gita?
I just let myself go do that really intuitively, like not overthinking, just let me just go with the one thing that came. The one thing made me laugh is because I can hear my dog snoring to my side. And then, do you know what? If it might feel a bit, I don't know what the right word is, but I said I deserve a big high five because I am love, and not love as the emotion love, which is the essence of who everybody is, and that kind of which brings much more connection. It brings like a settling. It feels like a grounding because not needing to prove anything, not needing to be anything, just being what we all are. Yeah.
Oh, love that.
It was lovely to do. Really lovely to do. And as you say, not overthink it, just write. Just write what comes.
Yeah.
And the one word I feel, I wrote anticipation.
Ooh.
And I desire a high five today because I held my standards in a situation.
Oh, you. Yeah.
Which you guys know about. So yeah.
Beautiful.
Amazing. And thank you for allowing me to try this different
lovely. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, thank you, Carla. That's awesome.
We could do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really nice grounding, settling, get you present, tune in. Yeah, I love it.
Thank you, Mel Robbins, for creating this.
Yeah, beautiful. And it brings us beautifully into this subject as we kind of get more present with ourselves and more kind of grounded. And where I'm going to kind of start and just see where it unfolds is when we think of courageous visibility. Actually, I might start with a little bit of a story first, just to kind of open it up. What I have been like on a personal development journey for some time, and I think there's always growth edges that we're always kind of meeting. We get we go into that discomfort, which is not kind of overwhelm, it's a discomfort, and then that becomes a bit more comfortable, and then there's when in the right time a new growth edge, we need to integrate it and we want to be there for a while, and then another growth edge comes. So this is where I'm kind of coming from, and so it would be like a year ago when I started my master's, and a lot of it is about personal development. And what I kind of noticed, there was some within me coming from the opposite side of courageous visibility, was self-censorship. So I wouldn't always kind of share how I was really feeling. I might do it. It was much more easier for me to do it on a one-to-one. Because what I would be doing, I'd always be reading. I would be reading the other person to go, have I gone too far? Are they taking all this? So I would be literally reading all the non-communication so that I could sense a degree of safety, how much they would allow all of me in or not. So this was really what I've learned about myself. So in a one-to-one, I had a sense of control, basically. And this is needed to a degree because we're always needing that kind of safety and discernment of how much to, express ourselves. And I think that is really important. But this was a pattern. This was a real kind of pattern of only showing certain parts of myself and not showing the more vulnerable parts of myself. So I emerged in this circle and I went kind of go, okay, I'm really going to embrace this. My growth edge is the fear of not living up to other people's expectations. That's my growth edge. So when we were kind of in circles and we kind of share, everybody was at different stages. Some people weren't ready to share and they would kind of hold back, and that was okay. And I had made this intention with myself. Now, this is my growth edge. I've done all this work. This is where my next growth edge is. So I started sharing, and in that sharing, I felt so free, and I felt so liberated. It felt kind of safe to share. So I was trusting that this was a safe place to share. Until until I got in the car back home, and then bubbles of anxiety would bubble up in my stomach. Shame would surface, because all of a sudden this narrative, because I was kind of changing this lived pattern, that all of a sudden I had let myself be much more visible, and I was courageous in doing it, because it was a new area that I was experiencing myself and allowing myself to be experienced. And then all of a sudden I had this, like, afterwards, this like delayed anxiety and shame, like, you were not the person that they thought you were.
Like a vulnerability hangover.
Like a vulnerability hangover, absolutely, yeah. And what because the work I was able to kind of sit with that and dissect it and talk about it with people, you know, I kind of trust, and journal it and everything. So, you know, the more I did it, that did disappear. It did disappear. It became like I grew a different kind of pool of capacity to be able to go, no, this is okay. I can do this. So my question to you ladies, as I kind of share a part of this courageous visibility in my own lived experience, and something I'm always kind of working on, there's always degrees of self-censorship that I'm kind of always exploring and still sitting with. Right, I'm guessing maybe the best way is to open it up, where maybe where you have been a bit more visible that you didn't used to be, and what hand, you know, how that was for you. Is there anything that where you maybe were used to kind of hold back, and you kind of allowed yourself to be seen more?
That's a very good question. I can start.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
And for me, it's been very recently. And of course, over the years, we have ups and downs. And I remember in my teenage years, the need to be seen and liked and heard and really caring. And I think even today, in today's world, is the same, right? People, we do really care about what others think about us, about the way we look, the way we dress, the things we say, how we say it. And I had that as well in my teenage years, and you have a lot of pain and shame and all those things. So it's been journeys. But the most recent one, I would say, was when I started the coaching about 4 or 5 years ago, and I decided to. I still have my day-to-day job as an HR director, but I've decided to open my coaching practice when we finished the coaching certification and started this coaching journey. And I've noticed, the need to be recognized, you know, as a coach, the visibility online, the social media. Everyone said, oh, you need to be on social media, you need to look at this coach, what they do, look at that coach, what they do. That's how they get their clients. This is what you need to do to be socially visible, to be seen as an expert coach. I started to do what everyone else does, right? But at the beginning, I noticed in myself, I don't know, I was resisting somehow that journey. So I didn't like social media. I didn't like to do videos. The posts that I did were very, I don't know, artificial, let's say. So I didn't want to show up. And I didn't want to show up as myself because, again, and here comes, I thought, okay, if I show up as myself, people might not see me as the great coach. I need to show up like that person and like that coach and like that, because they were all doing similar things. So they are the ones that are right. And over the years, so I've been on that journey for 2 or 3 years. So it wasn't easy to get out of it. And we had this conversation, right, towards the end of last year, um, that I decided, please, this can't be right. I've been through this journey over these 3 years. Yeah, I've got clients. Yeah, fine. But something is not right. Something was not aligning with me of the journey that I was going, because I was being visible, but it wasn't me. It was someone or some image that I had created as the coach Carla, but it wasn't Carla. It was the coach Carla that was an image of what other coaches were doing on social media. And everyone used to say, yeah, you should do this video or this thing, and you need to show up. It needs to be you talking. You need to say these 3 steps to do this, blah, 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 blah. That's what people like to do, see and see, blah, blah, blah. And I was, anyway, so towards the end of, something clicked on me after all these years, towards the end of last year, when I said, it's enough. This is not me. And I remember something that I've always said to my clients, and I wasn't living it myself. And I just wrote it, which is, what other people think about you, it's none of your business.
Mm.
You just need to be yourself. And that sentence hit me like, oh my God, I'm just telling my clients, all these women that have imposter syndrome, that are people pleasers, and I just telling them basically and helping them, but I'm not doing it myself. Where's the authenticity here? Right? So to me, it became being authentic, being yourself. And we, in the meantime, created this podcast, and I've completely changed the way I am now in terms of how I am visible.
Mm.
I'm visible as myself, Carla. If people don't connect, don't resonate, they don't like, I really don't care anymore. And it's really, some people ask me, isn't that selfish? But I really don't care. And I know what I've noticed over these last month since the end of last year, is the peace and the freedom. Here comes the freedom, right? It's the peace of and the freedom, because I've stopped caring about what other people think of me or what they think I should be as a coach or as a woman or as an individual. I just feel in, so peace has been always very important to me, and freedom, but it's even more and more. So now, and it's still a journey. It's not perfect, and it won't be. That's the thing as well, that I don't care anymore. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be what it is. Wherever I am, in the moment of life I am, it's just what it is. It's not perfect. It's me. It's who I am. And it's how I give more value to those that I work with. That's the thing that I've realized as well. Because the more I am me, the more I am authentic, the more value I give to the women I work with. And it's been a real journey. So authenticity for me, in my visibility, has been one of the most courageous things I have to do, and I'm continue on that journey. But now I'm free to choose. So I'm not more tied to do this video this way, or even to do a video. If I don't want to do videos, I just don't do it. If that day I want to do a video and show up, I do it. But I can choose. I'm not following anyone. I'm just being myself. And I'm really loving it, I must tell you. The freedom, the power that gives me, but it's a good power.
Yeah.
The empowerment that I feel to be able to choose and to be free to do this, the coaching and the beauty I've noticed as well is that when you do that, because I started this journey in this specific area, the more I notice I do this in my coaching live world, it translates to other areas of my life as well into a more meaningful way.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing. I'm really kind of hearing the depth. And, you know, I think I have met anybody that their value, one of their values anyway, has been freedom. But it's one thing having a value, but actually aligning your ways you live through those values, it can be completely different. But we feel it when things mirror to us actually and not living what really makes me feel fulfilled, what makes me feel free, what aligns everything to what makes a meaningful life to me, so I can really express myself creatively, because we're all like creative beings, really, and
But it's powerful, but it's not easy, right? I'm not saying, and we are not here to say that this is easy to do. It's not easy to get this vulnerability and the courage. It's very hard, and I still have moments, and I'm sure I will continue to have those moments, right? Where I just, ooh, is this, you know? But then that sentence, I don't know why, but I kept that sentence as my, you know, my compass in terms of the vulnerability, the authenticity. Is what other people think about you. It's none of your business. It's there, you know, it's there. It's not yours to grab and to take as you own it. They own it. It's them.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you for sharing. And I'm really feeling those words. It feels it brings you back to your truth and your compass. But what I'm really hearing, it's not easy. It can come wobbling. And we all want to belong. We all want to be accepted. It's just part of human, and that can create a rupture. How we've learned how to belong, to be a certain way. Is like, I know I'll belong if I'm like this. I know for certain that I'm be belong and be accepted. But I'll pause there because I'm really curious, and thank you for that share, Carla. It's really insightful. It's got me thinking anyway. And what about you, Geeta? Where's this kind of what's landing for you? What's shaping up in your life?
Oh, Kelly, gosh, you have opened up something.
Pandora box.
Okay. So, in this present moment, there's like 2 or 3 different pathways, and I'm just trying to sort of bring them in and try and fit it into the space and time we have here and make sense of it. So the first thing that's really has come back for me, I've remembered, is that I think it was in 2021. I met this amazing woman. Her name's Tamsin Napier Munn, and I did her The Power of You program, which helped me to recognize for how long I had been hiding my true self in so many areas of my life, and to find my voice and to really understand what my values are, not somebody else's, not what I've been conditioned with, not what was expected of me. And so I've developed those values as I've gone along, and what I do, I have them on my phone now. Probably can't see, but they're a reminder for me.
Yes, you can see.
And they say adventure, love, curiosity, joy, freedom. And this might not make sense to many people, but preparing just enough, because I wanted to let go of that perfectionist within me.
Yeah.
And another one was conclusion, and that's about really letting things go when they no longer serve. And that, so now the way I live my life is I have it on my phone to remind me, like, anything I do, decisions I make, who I want to be, I use that as a way to help me remember. It's a funny one, because on the outside, people would see me as someone who's confident, would use my voice, would show up and get things done. And then you come to this online world, and like Carla was saying, you see all these other people showing up in certain ways. You're like, well, I'm not like that. I don't look like that. I don't have this, or whatever it might be. So it really actually started to close me down a bit. I'm fine in front of, put me in front of someone or a group of people. The online meditation groups I used to hold through lockdown, because it was in a closed group, it was all fine. But if I had to stream that, I would have frozen. My nervous system would have gone into that space. So in order for me to become even visible again has taken a huge amount of work. And I've been in the personal development arena for 16 years or something. And where I thought I had done the work, and I have, but I hadn't. The real biggest shifts have really come in the last 2 or 3 years. And as you were saying about growth edges, it's like leaning into something and absolutely feeling the discomfort like I'd never felt before. When we were doing the training for our coaching, when we all first met, a few years ago, and having to do our recordings and then have a supervisor sit in, I was like, I don't want them to watch me. Oh my God, they're going to judge me. And what if I get it wrong? And what that helped me to realize is that I used to have a very strong rejection sensitivity within me. So then that got in the way of me wanting to be visible and show up as me. And it was easier to show up in the way that I thought people expected me. So masking. And that's changed. That has really changed in the last year and a half. And one of the things that's really helped me is being in community with you guys. I have another sister circle that I'm with, and the spaces that we've created are really brave spaces. I wouldn't even say safe, because safety is different for everyone. I felt unsafe even in those spaces, but I was encouraged to be brave. I could be brave and lean into things that were really uncomfortable. And I'm very grateful to have those and to be able to learn and grow as a result, and to show up more as me, my true self, as I am in that moment as well. Because, we all change as well, day to day, moment to moment, but I'm brave enough to show up as who I am in this moment right now. To also advocate for myself now. So when we did that exercise at the beginning, that Carla beautifully took us through, and I wrote down, I deserve a high five today because I held my standards, which again, I may not have done. And I did it with love. It wasn't like a harsh, well, this is a boundary. No, it's from a loving place. This is a standard, and this is the way I want to operate and live my life from, and expressing that. And I would not have done that before. So this is for me being more visible courageously, from all aspects of my life, through my work, through personal relationships, online here. So yeah. And even speaking out about perhaps other areas, even with what's happening in the world, in different parts of the world right now. Yeah. Or even politics, whatever it might be. But yeah,
Ooh.
I'll leave.
Yeah. And yeah, there's so much being said here, isn't it? And the complexity sometimes, and the different ways of how we allow ourselves to feel sense-free, and coming back to that being, it doesn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
It is, and as you're kind of talking and kind of reflecting, and the different relationship is not always being with discomfort for me. It's been a relationship with fear.
Yeah.
because as I'm changing, things I used to, for example, maybe I built like maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would be like, no, I really believe this is true. And then my beliefs and everything has changed as I've kind of dived in with much more curiosity in myself and the world. But then it's how you show up, how you kind of shatter this perception of who you were to allow the person you are now to be visible and to be experienced and to kind of create from and to kind of be expressed. And I really recognize, for me personally, and I'm just curious what relationship you've had to kind of create, but I had to grow a different relationship with fear. Where with fear, for me, when I used to kind of, the fear at some levels of fear would be okay, and there'd be moments where I've kind of come into that, well, this is who I know I am now. It's like being like, in certain environments, not all environments, I have felt like kind of like a almost like a big wave of fear like hit me in the face, and something stopped me in my tracks. And I've had to kind of create space for that fear, to kind of understand it, to acknowledge actually this is a build-up of undigested fear that has shaped from my past. And this now, as I step into something really honoring who I am in this moment, this fear now is saying, hey, but you might not be liked. You might be rejected. People don't believe the same as you, so you're going to be kind of ostracized. All these kind of narratives were kind of shaping my reality. And I guess what is has fear kind of shown up for you, and how have you built a relationship with fear as you kind of honor more of who you are in these moments, and who are you becoming?
You want to go first, Geeta, this time?
I don't mind, yeah. It's definitely, I've really had to lean into facing my own fears. And, we've touched on this in other podcasts, and understanding the relationship with my nervous system and how dysregulated it has been for many years of my life. And understanding that, like you described, that sort of whoosh feeling. I used to get that a lot. I used to literally get into paralysis. And it's really not a nice feeling to have that running through your body and all that cortisol running through. And so I think that's been the biggest part, is forming a new relationship with the different parts of myself. There's just some background noise. I'm just gonna see. Has anyone?
Yeah, I can hear background noise.
Right. So it's really forming a new relationship with all the different parts. Okay. I don't know. I'll carry on anyway. So it's forming new relationships with the different parts of myself. And there's the big part is around acceptance as well, and integrating those parts, and not trying to suppress them. And this really brings me, I don't know if anyone has gone to see the film Inside Out 2 yet.
No.
If you haven't,
your reception's going.
Even if you don't have children,
your reception's going.
Go and watch. So brilliant, and in the way that children that you feel, and that's what I would say, is that it's understanding those parts of ourselves, integrating them, accepting them. And so when that part then does show up,
I think you're having connection issues.
Yeah, I think Geeta's internet
is going. Are you guys hearing and seeing?
it's gone a bit fuzzy, but I think what we're really hearing from you, Geeta, is becoming that curious to the different parts of ourselves, and different parts of ourselves could have, bringing up the fear and how we integrate those parts back into ourselves, and how we meet those parts that feel vulnerable with the change that's happening and the visibility. And I absolutely resonate, and I've had to do a lot of work in integrating my teenage self, and that was the bit that I didn't have a sense of belonging, because I wasn't allowing that teenage part to belong to myself. So the more kind of work I did building a relationship with that teenage part, that all these parts that live inside of us, huge shifts happened for me with regards to feeling belonged, to my relationship with fear. But the outside world was just mirroring what was happening inside of me with my own, if it was my teenage self, child self, protective parts, all these parts that we have. So sometimes the fear can be a specific part, a younger part of us that's actually needing some validations, needing some reassurance, needing some love, or being listened
absolutely.
to. Thank you. And what about you? And welcome, Serena. And what about you, Carla? What's your relationship been with fear, as you kind of courageously step much more in your own truth rather than being, what people are telling you to be?
Yeah, it's interesting because I never had a lot of fear in my life. I've always been quite brave and courageous. Of course, there was moments of fear, but I wouldn't say fear was the big thing for me. It was more the shame. Shame is probably the word. And of course, there's connection with fear of something as well, right? But it was more the shame, and it was, for me, in reflection of all the journey until now, it's the conditioning of the society, and what I was basically taught to believe when I was a child, teenager, and I'm going to talk specifically for me as a woman, how I should be, what I should be, how I should behave, and all those beliefs that I had, and the shame of, and everything goes to the belonging, right? If I'm not as I believe I should be, the shame it will bring to my family, to myself, to those around me, because it's not right. I'm the black sheep, let's say, of the family, of the circle of friendships, and I'm the outlier, and the shame that will bring to those around me and to myself, of course. So that was something that was always with me, in many situations. Is shame is the word, not specifically the fear, but of course, shame exists because of the fear of something. And on reflection, I would say the fear of not being loved, for being different, for being who you are. Everything comes back to who you are, or what we think other people want us to be. So there's always fear, but the word that comes to me is the shame, and at the bottom line, fear of not being loved, for being who I really am, and not who others. And it can be in a personal level, professional level, who others think I should be. So that's a journey. It's not, as I said before, it's not ended, but today the shame is gone. Absolutely. I have no more shame. I just don't care. I am. And one of the things that we talk about belonging, for me, and I when I work with my clients, I always say, for me, the key thing, and I always point to my heart, is my self-worth. It's not confidence, it's the self-worth. the moment I've decided that I would work on love myself and my self-worth and the belonging. It's not belonging to someone somewhere. I belong here.
Yeah,
And
beautiful.
and this gesture became to me very important. This is where I belong. I belong here. As long as I belong here, I'm fine.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that, and what I'm really hearing in that, and this could be a year's worth of podcasts, I think, that the cultural element that is tied into this, but also there's a difference between the need to belong and a sense of belonging, and a sense of belonging is much more how we're experiencing ourselves and what is shaping that, and that is what we have a lot more empowerment on, because a lot of things, our sense of belonging has been kind of distorted by what we thought was true in earlier segments of our life. But I'm thank you, and I can see Davina's beautiful face. And yeah, Davina, we were really talking about, stepping into much more of, we sort of told maybe we can change, and being really visible in who we really are. And there's certain things that can retract that. And we might kind of hide parts of ourselves, maybe because the fear of not being accepted, the fear of being rejected, maybe fear of criticism, or shame in Carla's experience of maybe fear of being the black sheep, and where do I belong then? And there's different things that kind of stop us from really being expressive and being ourselves in our own life, and that freeness that we're not really being free. We kind of create like an inner prison to kind of fit in some degree. So I know we're coming up for time, but I'm just, as you're here, I'm just wondering if there's anything you would like to add, maybe your own experience or your own thoughts.
Hi ladies, thanks for letting me come in late as well.
Well, you're always with us anyway, even if you're not green.
Yeah.
Thank you. Quickly to share my thoughts. Well, I feel like I always hid who I was from as a child and all the way through my life because of what I now know as fear of abandonment. At the time, I didn't know what it was. At the time, I would have just said, I know I'm different and I need to fit in. And so I'll just be like everybody else and not really be myself. So I did that for years. I would say all the way into my 20s. I did that. And it, as Carla said, it's a journey. So still uncovering those things. I feel more free now, but there's still layers that can be more free. And if this was a what's in the room, I would share that even yesterday, things that have come up where I've had to say to myself, okay, so what are we going to do here? Are you going to pretend, or are you going to do as you feel inside? And so it's still a challenge. Like, it still comes up. It's still a choice. Though now it's a conscious one that I can make, but I still have to think, like, what are we going to do here? Where are we going? And I'm more aware of that now, so I can make that choice and say, well, actually, I want to stay here. I want to be in line. I want to be in alignment. But I still have that little, like, oh, there's still a choice that I have to make. So it's still a journey that I'm on. But yeah, I feel freer now. But yeah, it comes up. It still comes up.
Yeah, and you've beautifully captured what we kind of started on. We've all got different growth edges, and and each growth edge gives a sense of that more inner freeness. But being human, there probably always will be growth edges. And I have a choice, do I want to step into it, or do I want to step here? And different old patterns can pop up, especially when we be stressed or we're different tired, or different choice points that we go through. But it's coming back to that pause, that moment to gather am I going to live the old patterns, or do I want to choose a different choice here that will feel uncomfortable? It does require me to kind of move through the fear, or use the energy of fear to kind of guide me forward in a way that feels more in alignment. I'm just aware of time. I think this is a big topic and a huge topic that so much could kind of be drawn out of this beautiful conversation together. I really appreciate the vulnerability, and I would love for people who are listening the live or the recording to, share maybe insights that you've taken from our shares, or maybe what you can see in yourself, because we can learn from you too. But as we draw a close, I just want to kind of invite, if anything, any words that you want to share as we kind of just close this conversation together. So yeah, Geeta, would you like to kind of share anything to close?
Yeah, just as you say, it's a huge topic. So very briefly from me, it's about pausing and making choices that serve me now, and being in alignment. There is something around, like Davina said, it's coming back to myself. It's being in alignment with the choices that I'm making, and that supports me to be more courageous and visible as a result. So yeah, that's it from me. Thank you.
Carla, is there anything you want to kind of close with?
Yeah, just to reinforce the self-worth part, and going back into your heart and really love yourself, because yeah, you are worthy, you are loved, even if you don't think so. You are worthy, and I see so many women that don't believe they are worthy, but you are worthy. Remember that. Go to your heart, because you deserve it. You do.
Beautiful. And Davina?
I would say that it's worth it to stay in alignment. The benefits are worth it. The cost is too much.
Yeah. There's always a price to pay. Yeah. Beautiful. And I would just kind of add to what everyone is saying. No matter what your beliefs are, there's always a part of us that's never been hurt. There's a part that like kind of lives, there's a thread within us. So maybe that is an anchor of words, that maybe a connection with the heart. Maybe you get that when you kind of a memory, when you've had like a magical moment, maybe looking at nature, or even a spiritual moment, or it could just be a loved one that made you access a part of yourself that felt untouchable. It was a kind of that part is always there, and that part has never been hurt, and that part's always there to meet all the other parts of maybe feeling fear or scared, to really live their truest expression. And yeah, we would love to kind of hear your own thoughts. We learn from you too, so please give us your comments, and we wish you all well. Sending you all lots of love.
See you next time.